Two trucks, 24 years apart. One started the legacy, the other is trying to maintain it. Let's see if the 2026 Sierra EV Denali can maintain the hype. First, let's meet the trucks. The first generation 2002 GMC Sierra Denali. It had chrome wheels, leather pointed seats, V8 power with 325 horsepower and 370 pound-feet of torque under the hood. And over here, it's the 2026 Sierra EV Denali. Electric motor in the front, electric motor in the rear, 760 horsepower, and 785 pound-feet of torque. Those power and performance numbers mean a 0 to 60 in under 4.5 seconds. This truck is loaded with technology and features that you could only dream about in 2002. It's the OG Denali versus the EV Denali, all to see if the EV can live up to the Denali legacy. So here's the plan, guys. We're putting these two trucks through 5 totally unscientific tests to see how well the 2026 Sierra EV Denali upholds the 2002 legacy. The 5 tests are looks, luxury, technology, truckworthiness, and of course the way that they drive. So let's get started with the first thing people notice about a truck. Back in 2002, the vibe was chrome. You had chrome wheels, chrome running boards, chrome grille, and you had to have a presence. It was big and brawny. And in 2026, it's a whole nother level of bold. This truck has LED lighting, sleek lines down the side, and a grille here that looks like it came off a concept vehicle. It's bold, yet modern. One has old school power while the other has futuristic authority. Both are big, bold trucks worthy of the Denali badge. But the 2026 really holds its own as a luxury truck from the future. That's a check for looks. When this trim launched in 1999, it was all about elevating the experience for truck customers. In fact, the word Denali actually comes from the tallest mountain in North America, Mount Denali. So it's literally describing elevating the experience to the peak. Carpeted floors and floor mats, a little bit of wood grain up here that sort of hints to baller status. These were things that you didn't typically find in a pickup truck, but with the Denali, they came standard. Subscribe below if you would allow food to be eaten in this truck. Or if you're like me and don't want fries in your cracks, comment down below. So we're in here doing the luxury challenge, which might as well just be called the Denali challenge. And when you get inside the truck, we don't let you forget that it's a Denali. You got Denali on the steering wheel, on the headrests, over here on the right-hand side in front of the passenger, it says Denali ingrained in the wood. And if you ever want to drive to Mount Denali, the coordinates are engraved right on the dash. It's really easy to forget that you're in a pickup truck when you look at the use of materials in this Denali. Every touch point is soft, premium materials, large configurable screens here. The driver's able to customize what they see here. But it also has physical buttons. It's a nice balance of being able to quickly push down on climate or whatever. And this particular truck has Super Cruise, which is GM's hands-free driver assistance technology. That is really a luxury feature. You feel like you've just flown first class. This Denali clearly passes the luxury test. So let's check out what four-wheel steering is like in a 2026. So these cones are really tight, and this truck is really big. So I'm surprised at how easy and nimble it is to get through these tight turns. This four-wheel steering is definitely a luxury feature. You wouldn't be able to do this without the four-wheel steering. And it's so quiet. I feel like you could hear a pin drop. The 2026 Denali does have four-wheel steering, but engineers also added a really cool feature that's called crab walk. And it basically lets all four wheels turn the same direction, and the truck can just sort of scoot side to side. So you can use this if you're ever like in a tight position against a curb or something and need to just scoot your way out. And it's kind of cool. Back in 2002, the Sierra Denali was offered with quadra-steer. And what it did was it really enabled for the truck to be more maneuverable because it is larger, even while towing. When you're towing a trailer, quadra-steer allowed for much more ease when you're moving from lane to lane. Check out this quirk. So this graphic here for the four-wheel steer or quadra-steer is the actual graphic for today's crab walk. They didn't even know back then that crab walk was going to be a thing. That's pretty cool. Okay, so let's test out Peak Tech 2002. And by that I mean the quadra-steer. So quadra-steer was pioneered in 2002. And I gotta say, right off the bat, it seems like the rear wheels on this truck are turning a little bit sharper than they are in the 2026 truck. This must have been dynamic to have in a truck back in the day. I mean, I can make super sharp turns. I'm not even coming anywhere close to these cones. Well done, 2002. So I'm stoked that the 2026 kept four-wheel steering from 2002. Technology check. So we've proven that both Denali's are luxurious, but customers buy pickup trucks for a very specific reason, and that is to do truck stuff. Let's confirm that the 2026 Denali is also a truck. The 2002 can tow 10,000 pounds. The 2026 can tow up to 12,500 pounds. That's more than enough towing capacity to tow your boat, trailer, your neighbor's broken down piece.
The horn still works.
Yeah, thank you, of course it does. But the Sierra EV has some tricks up its sleeve too. Most notably is the bed. That is the reason you buy a pickup truck, is the truck bed. And in the EV, with the Multi-Pro midgate folded down and the Multi-Pro tailgate down, you get almost 11 feet of cargo room in the bed of the truck. I mean, let's face it, size matters. And in the 2026 Denali, you can't forget the e-trunk, storage space in the front of the truck. So basically, if you want a tailgate up front, you can. On the 2002, under the hood here is the 6-liter V8. I'm gonna give this one a huge thumbs up. It is a true pickup truck. Now let's take them for a spin. All right, well, let's take the 2002 Sierra Denali out for a test drive. I gotta start by saying though, like, what a treat to be driving a near mint condition 24-year-old truck from the Heritage Center. Right off the bat, no replacement for displacement. I love a big old V8, and this thing just gets up and goes. I know that the Denali had some special gear ratios, and I can feel it. It definitely has some more pickup than your traditional truck would have back in 2002. Hopefully my pals at the Heritage Center remember to put the registration in the glove box. I don't want this to be my last day at GM. So far, back in 2002, they built this truck to drive like a leather-wrapped boat. It feels really, really solid, but surprisingly with the suspension technology back in the day, it rides really nice. I do have one control here where I can adjust the ride control from firm to not firm. I'm curious to see how that compares with all the technology in the suspension in 2026. This definitely has a lot of pickup. That big 6-liter V8 under the hood, it is doing its job. And with the suspension from 2002, I know the front end has torsion bars and there's big leaf springs in the rear, but it's still surprisingly really smooth. Comment down below if you think that we should do a towing test with the full GM truck lineup. I know we're talking GMC trucks today, but I gotta represent Team Chevy. My money's on the Chevy trucks. That quadra steer coming in. I didn't even turn the wheel as sharp as it would go and we already spun this truck around. That technology, man, so ahead of its time. It's interesting, the seats in this truck, they're very plush and you can definitely tell they're elevated. They're just soft and they feel like the sofa in your living room, which back then, that's what you aspired for. But in the 2026, probably gonna be a little bit more firm and there's gonna be bolster support to keep you planted on the road. Pulling back into the GM campus, I can say that this truck, it's good. It rides well, especially for back in the day. It did all the things that it was supposed to do. Elevated just a bit because it was a Denali. Now let's go check out the latest EV and see what it could do. This truck has air ride suspension and you can just feel it. I mean, it just glides over any sort of a bump in the road. I love that. And it's just like, you feel that it's planted. The battery sits just in the perfect position in the truck. It's keeping the center of gravity super low, so the truck just feels like it's on rails. And man, that 4-wheel steering sure comes into play. It makes the truck feel like it's significantly smaller than it really is. Check out the sound difference when I hit the throttle. That never gets old. There's no replacement for displacement. I get that. I love a hot exhaust note. I love firing up a gas-powered engine. But just the quietness, the smoothness, and no sound pollution in an electric truck, it's pretty cool. So the driving impressions of the 2026 compared to the 2002, obviously there are some significant improvements that have been made over the last 24 years. You can't ignore what you get with electric propulsion. It's just, in terms of smoothness and comfortable, you can't beat electric. Where the 2002 delivers is on power and performance of its day. That big old 6-liter V8 that got out of its way really quickly. And that's what you needed. This isn't just a great truck for an EV. This is a great truck, period. Definitely passes the drive test. So today we learned that the 2002 Denali was way ahead of its time, but what a success. The 2026 Sierra EV Denali brings that same vision all the way into the future. It's bold, it's comfortable, and it's loaded with features that just turn heads. Thank you for joining my Truck Talk, guys. Let me know in the comments which of these two trucks you think is more Denali. I'm Shad Balch from GM. I'll see you next time.